I love this. I love what happened with this governor, Georgia governor. The governor comes out and he says to Delta, he says, Delta Airlines, they're in Georgia. I mean, they've got, 30,000 employees in Georgia. So he says that Delta says we're going to end the contract that we have with the NRA where we fly your people to the annual convention for less money and some other things that we do for them. We're going to kill that contract. So this governor, this Casey Cagle, who is a absolute nutcase, by the way, there's plenty, just Google the guy, you'll see plenty of really nutty stories about this guy. He comes out and he says, well, if you do that, I'm going to dry up your tax base. Yeah. I mean, what I'm going to do is you're going to end up your tax base in the sense that we give you all kinds of breaks. Right. And we're going to take those breaks away. You're not going to get these tax breaks anymore. What is your take on this case?
Well, first of all, you got to applaud Delta. I mean, just to stand up and say we're not going to help push the NRA's agenda. We're not going to give them any breaks. But I tell you what, I mean, for any legislator to use their power to enforce their own position on the NRA against a business as large as Delta, it quite frankly shows you why we're in the position that you are. That you can go buy an automatic rifle from one of these huge stores because everyone's afraid of what the retaliation is going to be.
Okay, let's talk about this a little bit more, though. I mean, first of all, I really hope he pushes this because he'll 33,000 voters, employees with Delta, and you know that they're going to be motivated to vote. So this guy needs to be voted out, and he's a complete, utter freak.
But he must think that by him doing this, that he's actually going to charge up his voter base. But that's not what government's supposed to do. The government's not supposed to punish somebody for taking a stand.
First of all, it's unconstitutional.
Absolutely,
you agree.
I mean, they're there to protect the minority.
Okay, the Delta has a First Amendment right to say there are things I do agree with and there are things I don't agree with. Right. And we don't agree with what we've been doing in the past, and that's giving NRA people a break on their travel. So we have the right to express that belief and that statement. And so what they say is, we're not going to do it anymore. When a governor believes that he can then interfere with that constitutional right, and he then shows we're going to punish you for your First Amendment right, that is a whole different level of scrutiny that the court looks at when they say this could end up actually with sanctions of the governor. I kind of hope he pushes this because this guy's a freak. I'm telling you. Go look at Casey Cagle, Republican in Georgia. You're going to see the guy's got a history of nuts.
Think about what his next step is. Now, is it Dick's Sporting Goods that just came out that we're not going to sell any more automatic rifles? And he says, I don't like that. So I tell you what, I'm going to do the same thing I did with Delta. I think you should be able to buy automatic rifles at Dick's. We're going to take away some of your tax incentives that we gave you for buying property, and you need to sell automatic rifles. I mean, that's not what his job is, to push his own political agenda and shove that First Amendment right down Delta's throat, or if Dick's wants to stop selling automatic rifles, he can push that agenda. That's not what he's there for, not what he's intended to do.
Yeah, as you see these stories, you're going to see a lot more corporations. What happened, and I love this part of the story, is they're on the internet now. You can go to Think Progress. Right. And Think Progress gives you a list of people. It depends on what your feeling about guns are. I mean, you may be a gun lover. Well, that's your right. But there are people who disagree with basic things like, there ought to be a cooling off period when somebody buys a gun. You ought to be able to be mentally sound before you buy. There's some basic. You shouldn't be able to
criteria to go buy a gun.
15 years old and go buy a gun. You should. I mean, common sense. But Think Progress, they put together a really good list that you can go look at, and you can say these are corporations that are so tied with the hip to what the NRA is doing, and I disagree with what the NRA is doing on these things, and you make the decision, I don't want to do business with those corporations. I think it's extremely important that those types of things, that social media gets those kinds of things out. Can you imagine corporate media trying to accomplish that?
No, absolutely not. And I hope Delta gets a surge in profits for taking a stand. And it backfires on them.
Yeah, well, my take is that that's exactly what's going to happen. Yeah, the momentum right now that's picked up with people saying, enough is enough. The only problem is you actually don't have legislators around. I mean, just so few of them have any courage whatsoever. That's showing through here. This is such a critically important. You know, the legislators in Florida, they're running for the hills. There's no discussion about it. Republicans aren't talking about it. When Democrats talk about it, they sound stupid in the way that they talk about it. You know, there's some very serious things that can be done. Insurance. How about requiring insurance when somebody has a gun, where that insurance covers the person with the use of that gun, because that'll close things down twice.